Hello, I'm Maria Hall Brown, and this is LA Currents. Well, it's no surprise that playing in a park is good for a young person's physical health, but there's a remarkable program that's part of LA Rec and Parks that's good for a young woman's emotional and mental health. It's called Pretty in Pink, and I'm delighted to be joined by the people that have created it and are very supportive of Pretty in Pink. Renisha White, love to have you with us. Jessica Famoso and Kimberly Simonette. So nice to have you here. Pretty in Pink is a great idea, a remarkable conference, and it just all started with an idea and a party, right?
Yes.
All right, so what prompted the whole thing?
So pretty much right here at South Park, we had a girls club. And in the girls club, I oversaw the girls club. And then for Valentine's Day, we wanted to have a Valentine's Day party for the girls. And it started off with Pretty in Pink. And let's do a little celebration, but I wanted to add some type of substance to it. So we started off with incorporating hygiene in there, and then incorporating some form of like peer pressure and topics that the girls can, substance that they could actually take with them. And then after that, it just continued. And so that's pretty much where Pretty in Pink came from. It started off as a Valentine's Day party with a session about hygiene and just kind of encouraging the girls and just getting a chance to hear like some of their things that they face in the community. And so that's pretty much how Pretty in Pink started off, with about like 10 girls.
And the two of you got together.
Yes.
I mean, you were here first, and then Jessica, you came. And what was the conversation between the two of you where you realized that this party should be continued in a different form and even more expansive? What were you guys talking about that brought that about?
Well, when I came in, Nisha was already doing the club. I came in as a rec coordinator, a recreation coordinator, so I was able to, I had a little bit more of the resources to bring it up to other parks. So we talked about it, we loved the idea, and I was like, well, we should open it up to our nearby parks, because we could reach more girls. And it started with a few, like it went from the teen club, and then I think the first time we opened it up, we got like 20, 30 girls from our, and then we started expanding more, like, well, maybe we should do an invite to like all the city parks, and then start grabbing girls who are more interested. And sure enough, we started getting support so we could buy supplies for the girls and offer more, have their own t-shirts, have a goodie bag of, we continue the hygiene topic. Mm-hmm. So we will buy the traveling hygiene packages so we could give to each of the girls. And more girls started hearing about it, and then even waiting for the yearly event.
So it's basically a conference.
Yes.
It's a conference.
Okay, so it's one day.
Yes.
But it's in a couple of locations now, is it not?
It has expanded, and it did go to the valley. So at first we would do it in the Pacific, and our goal was always 300 girls to have. And then eventually it expanded. They liked it so well that they wanted to put it in the valley too. So they have had one out there, Pretty in Pink.
So when did it bubble up, and when did you realize that this was something that you needed to support and actually help them with?
Well, after going to one of the conferences, I saw how large it was, and from that, I knew that there needed to be more sponsorship. I mean, they were really going out scrambling on their own, trying to get people to come in and actually assist with purchasing items for them. So as a department, we have different subsections where we could get that support. So it was really important to reach out to those subsections to get more funding for the program. And I mean, definitely, it's a wonderful program.
Okay, so it started with kind of a teen club, but what's the age range of the girls that can participate?
Ages 8 to 17.
Okay, all right. And your mom worked for the park, so you actually understand the power of gathering together in community and that kind of thing. But you were also surprised that the girls were interested in some of the more serious topics and not necessarily just the goodie bag.
Yes. I know for me, one of the things that I heard a lot of girls talk about was self-esteem. And I would hear comments that they would make about themselves, and they weren't positive, or they would hear comments at school, and they'd be like, well, the whole school thinks I'm ugly. And I'm like, well, is that one person that said that? So it just made me think about like the thoughts and kind of the things that went behind, like, a comment. And she's assumed the whole school. Or I heard girls talk about the color of their skin, or, the tint, like different things like that. So I'm like, self-esteem is like really important. And I think we definitely need to touch on that. And I think when we have those sessions and we have women that are of different ethnicities come and speak to them and tell them about their struggles, I think it empowers them and lets them know that, like, those faulty thoughts that I had are not true, because here is a woman standing in front of me who has done it, who's achieved, who's overcome, who's a chief, LAPD, or who's an entrepreneur. So I just think it empowered them. But self-esteem was one of those things that I realized the girls are, it's deep in some of the communities, some of the thoughts that they have behind their self-esteem.
It's hard enough to be a young woman in this world, but to actually be able to voice it. Were you surprised that the girls were willing to talk? Because sometimes it's difficult to express yourself when you're young and you're not really quite sure what you're thinking in your head. Were you surprised at what the girls said at these conferences and what they were bringing up?
I was and I wasn't. The thing that helped some of the girls is that they were able to interact with different girls from different communities. So then it was the sense of, oh, I'm not by myself, like she feels the same. Because we will have topics where girls are basically expressing their feelings. So you see, not only I'm hearing from my friends, but I'm hearing from other, girls from the Valley or from East LA or, South LA. And they're seeing that they're basically having the same issues. So then they start feeling the sense of, I'm not by myself. This is not just my issue. And then you start getting more girls to be vocalized, because you do have the shy ones, but after the session, like, everybody's talking already. But I think it's because they're relating to some of the other girls. Some may be older, and then they're like, like a little girl is like, oh, it's not only me that I feel self-conscious of my color of the skin. It's also, that girl that I don't know, she's from another rec center. So it's really powerful to see me and Nisha see the changes and the interactions that go through just within that one day of the conference.
So what does a day look like? How does it play out?
It's a big day.
It's a big day.
It starts really early, and even the night before. But we always try to do a wow factor, so that's our thing.
Okay.
Where the girls walk into the room, it's like wow, and the whole goal is to make them feel special, and to set the program aside from anything else that they've experienced before. But we always try to have 5 sessions, and then we incorporate some like self-esteem, empowerment type sessions. But then we also add a physical session in there where it's like they're introduced to a new sport or activity. And then we have lunch, we have guest speakers, we have some type of entertainment, so maybe some music, in between like lunchtime, and then like that. So that's pretty much the whole day. And then of course at the end, we do surveys. And so we ask surveys so we can get feedback from the girls. What did you like? What didn't you like? What kind of topics would you like to talk about the next year? And so that gives us a chance to like kind of figure out what we're going to do for the following year. And then after that, that's when we give them their goodie bags. And then of course they have their hygiene packages in there. They have a shirt. They get other little goodies like maybe a water bottle or a shirt. And we just want them to represent Pretty in Pink. And so we had girls that was like wearing them to school, like their shirts to school. And so, or they'll ask us like, do we have to wear the same one that we wore last year? Like, no, you can wear a new Pretty in Pink shirt like the following year. So that's pretty much how the day is, and it's full of support. We have like supervisors that come out, community members that come out. We have a lot of partnerships with the neighborhood councils. We have LAPD that's involved, and any other kind of program that just want to, have the same vision and they want to be a part of it. So that's pretty much the big day for us.
So from a, I don't want to say corporate, but from a, department, how has it been received from LA Rec and Parks, and then even further up? Because obviously there's an enormous amount of participation with city leaders, but what has been the feedback in the offices?
They're very supportive of the program. I mean, one of our commissioners came out and actually did an opening for the girls. So to have her come out and actually recognize what was going on was really, really inspirational to have her there. You were mentioning the different corporations that get involved with us as well. I have what I call my bonus daughter, and she works at USC, and so she told her boss about the program. So we started getting support even from the university. So it was just really great. Once they know what it is that's being done and how important it is to the community, they want to be a part of it.
Just to realize that there was a need to begin with, and then also did you, either of you, have any kind of formal training, or did you just understand being in this environment and being with these young women, often, how it would work and that it would be of help?
I think just being in the environment, we saw the need of it. And it basically started with the hygiene topic. We just wanted to add more stuff than just, okay, let's talk about, body odor and everything. So we saw the need of a safe place for girls to talk, and any topic that will be current. We have had even suicidal sessions when we saw a lot of even Hollywood, artists and actors taking their life. So we were like, this has to impact even younger, girls. So we went into a suicidal topic. We don't have like a formal professional training. We just have our work experience and our day-to-day, what we see on our youth. And we saw that the girls needed a lot more support, that maybe they don't, a lot of them, they don't get from their home. So every conference, we let them know. We actually have a speech, and we let them know that we're here for them. So if they ever need something or even to talk, we're here to hear them and just help them. You
may have heard that way in a former life, a bazillion years ago, I actually ran, a recreational facility for school-age. And what I learned, especially from the young women who were on the cusp of being a young adult, whether they were early teens, whatever, that it was much more comfortable for them to talk to someone in my position than it was for them necessarily to talk to their mom or to talk to, and it's not that there was any bad relationship, it was just that there's that moment where you're trying to be a little bit more of an adult and you're pushing back, and it's not as easy to talk to somebody at home. Have you noticed that with these young women, that they'll tell you things that maybe they're not necessarily sharing, but they really do need help with?
Yeah, I feel like rec and parks alone, like I said, I grew up as a park kid myself. So I've had many women and mentors or people that kind of just, talk me through. My mother was a single mother, so, it was an added help to come to the parks, to be able to participate in programs, to be able to, do theaters. I danced on the stage, so it was.
I love that stage, by the way. That is to die for, fabulous.
Yeah, so, it was like that extra added place for you to come to, and then you have supportive adults. So our jobs has allowed us to create a platform where we can help others. We can add that extra support to families that may not get it. Sometimes in communities, they don't see mentors. All they see is what's in their environment, I like to tell the girls, like, I grew up here too, but, I went to school, I got my degree, like, it's possible. I had struggles and stuff like that too, but it's possible, like, you can do it. And I do feel like they become more comfortable because they may say, like, oh, I can relate, or maybe she has time to sit down and talk to me, where you think about a single mother who's running around working 2 to 3 jobs, trying to get the kids, trying to get them active. By the time she get home, she's tired. She don't really want to hear about, maybe something that, that's maybe not important to her, to the child, but, so you come to the park and you have outlets and you can talk to them. It's just another added support. So I feel like girls are more comfortable, and then we do provide more of a supportive role sometimes when parents can't.
So what do the speakers say to you after their experience? Because you have had this remarkable opportunity to bring some, preeminent people in, or people that could share some of their stories. So what do they say to you after the end of the day? They love it. At this point, we get approached by people that want to speak. So we get approached like emails. I've heard about your conference. Can I be part of it? So we get a lot of good feedback. Most of them end up staying the whole day, and their part is like in the morning, like at 9, and they end up staying until 4 because they feed off of it. They want to walk around. The girls will start asking questions because they start relating. So they'll stay the whole day, just enjoying the day.
It's an energy that you just have in the room, in the different rooms as things are taking place, and that's why those people that come in and speak, they want to be a part of that. And I think it even goes back into, especially when the women come out, their inner childhood. If they could have had something like that during their time, would have been great. And so they want to be a part of that. Okay, so it's once a year.
Obviously, you're wearing virtual Pretty in Pink, which
Yeah.
obviously what tells a story right then and there.
Yeah.
Because last year had to be a little different.
Right.
And how did that play out? And was it? It was a different experience, I'm sure.
Yes.
But what was the response and feedback you guys got from that?
Virtual Pretty in Pink, of course, ideal, we want to be in person. It's more personal, but given the circumstances, we decided we still want to do something for the girls. I was getting feedback from the girls prior to anything. Oh, and they were telling me about how they were like sad or like it was boring in the house. So I was like, you know, these girls still need support. They still need something. So Jessica and I was like, well, let's go virtual. Let's see how that is. This was our first time doing virtual, so we weren't quite sure.
It was the first time for everybody. You were not
Yeah,
alone.
it was like the technology part that I was just like, okay, let's go for it. So we decided to do that, and we was getting, you know, girls involved. They signed up for it. We had about 70, 80 girls that registered for the program. And so it was just like, it was just different because you have to contact them differently. It's not like I'm in your face and I can just give you a flyer. It's more so like, I got to call you, I got to text you, I got to email you, got to get your parents to buy in, you know, whereas before it was just like the kids are at the park, you like Pretty in Pink, oh, sign up and come. So we had to go through that. So, I mean, like I said, when your heart is in it, we put the effort in there. Each session we did have about 50-something girls that participated, and so it was just good. I mean, I was grateful that we were able to do something for them. We did have technical difficulty, but everything else was like great, so no one you know, paid attention to that, or it wasn't a big issue. But same platform, we had topics and we talked to the girls about, you know, anxiety, because I mean, a lot of that happened with the pandemic happening. So we did talk about anxiety and get the girls to understand like the parts of their body that they were feeling anxiety, and then ways to cope with the anxiety.
And what anxiety is.
Yeah, so we went through all of that with the girls. They were really responsive, and we thought that too, like, oh, it's gonna be hard to get them to talk, but we couldn't sometimes get them to stop talking. They were like interrupting us during our presentations and was like, I had this time and my mom, and we was like, okay. You know? So they were like really excited about it, and I think it went really well for it to be the first time. Yeah, we got a lot of positive feedback from parents and from the girls, and yeah, so I think it went great for the first time.
Again, we noticed the need of the girls needing that space. They would even log in way before we were, and then they would start chatting amongst each other. So I'm like, they need it. They need the space, or because of the pandemic, they were feeling secluded from friends or from life, basically.
Right, that socialization that they were missing was finally, here's something where we can be in touch with our friends again, which was good. And then people we don't know. Yeah.
Well, you bring up a good point, friends, because this has been going on now for, I'm going to say 6 years, but I think I'm wrong. How?
What, Pretty in Pink?
Yeah.
About 7.
7 years,
Yeah.
okay. Have you noticed that friendships have developed from girls that may not be geographically close to each other, but then they come back the next year? It's like, yay, we're here, and have that tie?
Yeah, I feel like girls, because it's one of those things, they will come back year after year. So you do see people that you saw maybe that once a year or you never got a chance to play with. So you do see them, and then you do recognize, like, oh yeah, I remember you from Pretty in Pink, or I remember you from, you know, there. And I feel like that's a connection. So I feel like every time, like she said, it's a good vibe. Like the energy is really good when you come, you know, to Pretty in Pink.
They even recognize each other from if they play like in a softball league. I've heard when we had it at Denker Rec Center, during lunch, there were like different parks were talking to each other. And I could hear the girls like, oh yeah, you remember she was playing on the league for softball, and I saw you last year in Pretty in Pink. So that one was a cool that girls, you know, they like interact.
You may not have realized the extent of the power of what you've done, because not just what's happening in the room on that day, but the ripple effect, you know, them getting to know each other from different communities, them getting to understand that everybody may or may not have the same issues that they do, but also getting to know someone outside their comfort zone probably will change their mind. Have you thought about that too?
I think we hope for it. That's one of the things that I hope. I hope my community, let's say like South Park community, they're exposed to other lifestyle other than what they see in a community, which was one of our main focus for the urban, you know, community girls, for them to see that there's more to life than what they see on their environment. So that has been one of our goals. Like Nisha said, you can relate. I was brought up how you were brought up, and look at me. I went to school, I got my degree, I have this job, and I think that's what the girls need to hear. They don't have to end up how their environment is placing them. They could still go to USC. They have it right here, like close. And I think a lot of them need to see that, and that's how they could relate with most of our guest speakers. They have that background where they came from a single parent, or they're coming from a low income, and now they're a lawyer, or they're the officer, like chief. Yeah. So girls could be like, wow, like basically I could become that. That doesn't mean that, I have to stay in my environment.
Are there other programs similar to this, or is this very unique to what's happening?
I would say this is unique to what's happening with females. Mm-hmm. We do have other teen programs where like teen summits that we get together, and so then you have that cross of the males and the females. But for just females, this is pretty much what we do.
And that's another part. I mean, so old school, but there was the idea that if you went to an all-girls school that you would be a little bit more vocal and a little bit more outspoken because you would not be intimidated. Now I realize it's a different world, and I understand that there's a lot more understanding of equanimity between men and women, but do you notice that the girls seem to brighten up a little bit more or talk a little bit more than maybe you see them out on the field when there are boys out there too?
Yeah, I think you just feel comfortable. You feel like a woman or a female with another female. You do feel comfortable. I mean, even as an adult, I will feel more comfortable in a room full of women because I'm like, we can relate. Mm-hmm. You can relate to something that I've probably been through or have experienced, as opposed to a room full of men. I mean, we do get support from the men,
sure.
But predominantly we try to let the women know, like, hey, we're here for you. These women are here for you if you feel comfortable to talk to them. And so just making them feel comfortable with that environment, yeah. So
now you're talking about all these serious subjects, but I've seen a lot of the images from the event, and there's a lot of partying going on too. There's a lot of fun. It's not just, it's not just let's, So what are some of the fun things that you guys have incorporated into the day that the girls have a great time with?
So we always, because we know the age that we're aiming, we know that we don't have their full attention. So we can't just have a whole day full of
lectures.
Serious topics because we're going to lose them. So we try to do, I think, 2 topics, like serious topics, and then we have a sports, and we usually try to find one that they haven't been exposed to.
Oh.
So I think last year we were planning on flag football, and we had like a professional women's team, like tackle team, that were gonna, but the pandemic hit. So we usually try to aim to sports that they're not exposed to, and then we have an arts and crafts activity, which again, the same, we'll try to, I think we were gonna do a self-portrait, how they see themselves, to paint themselves, and it was like with a little juice or like a drink, so, and that's like 4. And I think the third one is usually like, it has to be active. So then when they're rotating, they go from one serious one to now you're gonna do a mass obstacle course jumper. So we keep them all like
active.
Active.
I want to go.
I know. And then we also, we pick themes. And so our themes, we try to pick a fun theme and pick something, catchy. Jessica and I go all out. Like if we are unicorns and we dress up and we have like our tutus on. And then, so we get, really involved in it because I feel like once the girls see that we're into it, like they are into it. I even had a lady come up to me and she was like, I want to be the unicorn. The little girl in me wants to be the unicorn that I see right now. And I'm just like, and she was older than me, so I was just like, oh, cool. So I think just that presence and our involvement, the girls actually see like, oh, wow, they're like really into it and they're having fun, and we will dress up and get into, themes and stuff like that with the girls. So they really enjoy that part. So that part is fun. Mm-hmm. And we get to be unicorns or, superheroes, whatever we want to be for that day. And I think that's really important for the girls to see.
Well, pandemic aside, in regards to this progressing forward and, next year allowing that flag football team opportunity to happen, what does the department need from the community? How can people who see this help?
Financial support is always good.
Right.
Always good. And then just if we have those mentors in the community who would like to come and be a part of the program speaking, Trying to think, just financially and just the mentorship is always wonderful. I mean, that's what we rely on, and that would always kick it off and make it even better.
Did you have mentors growing up that kind of resonated with you and allowed you to become the women that you are today?
For me, I would say my mom, of course. My mom has always been, she's like my #1 cheerleader, and she'll let you know she is. So she's been really supportive. I chose this career because she was like, you need to choose something you love. And I was like, So, okay. So I ended up choosing this career because like I actually loved it. I enjoyed doing that. But along the way, I have had supervisors that have been supportive. Kim Simone, she has been one of those. I have Denise, who's retired. But those women have really, came in and they embraced me. But they also took care of me too, because like I said, I'm a park kid. So I grew up in the park, and then so by the time I came to work, within the department, they were, still there to be supportive and kind of mentor me through, this program.
And you?
Well, I would say my parents too. My mom is really strong, so I think she has been a big influence. So anything that I do, summer camps, Pretty in Pink, or even sports, I know because I didn't have it, I want to offer it to the community and the kids because it makes a difference.
You two as a duo have become, I would imagine, really good friends and putting all of this together. Did you know that you together would be able to create something that has become so dynamic, or did you just think, let's just give this a go?
We worked well together. Before before Pretty in Pink even happened, I think we kind of have the same vision or goals or whatever, or passion for our jobs outside of even Pretty in Pink. So I think that's where it comes together, where you can have that same passion, same goals. And yeah, I even been to Mexico with her. So I got a chance to go over there and visit her family. So it was really cool. But yeah, I think working together, we have been able to, create this great program. We have the same vision, easy to work with.
So is there one little girl that actually impacted your heart when it's hard to pick because it's like choosing your favorite child, but do you remember when you heard from one of them that you understood the power of what you guys were doing?
I think it's all the time. I don't know if it's because I'm getting older, but I sometimes start to get emotional, and I'm like, so sometimes I do, and those are impact because I know it's coming. You can get accolades from the department and different things like that, but when you hear from the source, like what you're doing and what it means to them, I was telling her when we did the virtual Pretty in Pink, the girls didn't get a chance to see us, but they only just saw us on screen. And then we get summer camp, and then my face is covered, so you can't really see my face. And then I was eating, and the girls like, you the lady from Pretty in Pink? And I'm going, yeah. And she's like, what? She didn't even know she was in my camp. And it was just like, what? And she's like, where's the other coach? And she was talking about yesterday. She thought that like we were together. So, just that, or we get little gifts or notes and things like that. And we get parents, like their feedback. Maybe the kids can't express it, but you actually get that verbal feedback from the parents and the kids. And that's what makes me feel good. It makes me know that we are doing having an impact on the children and the girls in the community because of their responses. And they want to come back year after year.
Okay, so if somebody wants to learn more about this program, what's the easiest, best, and most direct way for them to find out?
I would say lacityparks.org. Just go to our website and definitely they would contact us, and that way they would find out more.
And then I imagine there's some things beyond the website as well.
Right, so we have our Facebook page and our Instagram page, which is at Pretty in Pink Empowerment.
Okay. Yeah. And is there something coming up?
We are trying to do a virtual 5K run, and so yes, we're
working on it.
Yeah, ideally we want it to be in person, but with everything happening, we want to be able to do a virtual run with the girls, where they can get a bib, they can get a medal, they can get a shirt, and then maybe they can go run with their families or go hiking with their families. They can post that picture, and it's just to show that like we're still here, we're still supporting you, you're still supporting Pretty in Pink and empowering young girls.
I really appreciate your time. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that's a wrap on this LA Current.